Welcome to the Cherland podcast, where I, Connor Cherland, meet up with a musician, ask what makes them tick, ask them to play a few songs. On today's episode, we have Harrison Sands, S-A-N-D-S. I like him. Not only is he good at music, but he's good at writing music, which, is one of my favorite things. He just came out with a new album, which I really dig. It also has some acoustic versions, which are also out on Spotify, which I also really dig. So please enjoy the conversation. We talk about community. We talk about the new record. We talk about misconceptions about being introverted or extroverted as a musician. So please enjoy and let me know what you think. How do you feel about your new album that came out? Like, what's been overall responses? What are your emotions?
Emotionally, just relief. I'm
Nice.
like so excited that it's done.
I don't have to do anything.
Which it's the worst because I feel like a lot of times you sit on a project for an extended period. So by the time it comes out, you're just like, thank God it's over.
Yeah.
And then, but that's like really when you need to start like pushing it, right, and like constant, like letting people know about it. But I mean, I feel pretty good about it. People seem to be liking it.
Yeah.
It was fun to make. A lot of those songs I've kind of just been sitting on for like a year or so.
Yeah.
And it had been a long time since I had released a project. So
Right.
it's nice to know you can still do it, you know?
Yeah. One of the things you would normally do at this point is you would go and tour it. You would you would have just done South by Southwest or whatever. So like what do you feel like is different about this year? How are you putting it out there?
It's weird. Yeah, it's like you can't like do a normal growth of it.
Right.
Like you can't expose people that haven't necessarily heard it, right, to it. You know what I mean? And it's cool that like the internet really kind of just
Exists.
opens. Yeah, it's like literally anyone on earth could hear it.
Right.
But it's kind of a double-edged sword in that way because anyone can hear you, but anyone can put music out.
Right.
So it's like you're competing against 10 million other songs that were uploaded to the internet
on the
that
same day. Yeah.
Yeah. So, for me, like I hate like the promotion stuff,
Yeah.
which is probably bad. Like I should probably really focus on it, but it's just not fun for me.
Yeah.
You got to just keep putting stuff out. That's my thing is like,
Right.
It's like if people find my music, I want them to have like a body of music to come back to.
Mm-hmm.
Or like they hear a song and they're like, oh, wow, I really like that. And then they click and they're like, whoa, this guy has 20 other songs.
Yeah.
What? So that's kind of what my focus has been, is just like creating quality stuff, and then people are going to find it or they're not, you know?
Right. Yeah.
It's more that old school, just like, yeah, people are probably going to find it.
Yeah.
Who knows?
That's good. I mean, it's it's kind of the only way to look at it at the moment, because there's not as much in your control. Like, people who are getting like a lot of exposure for like the typical festivals you would get. Like a lot of those festivals are just going to like their top artists so that they can have like high web traffic. What was your favorite song to come out of the album, and what do you feel like other people's favorite is?
I think mine was probably Wholesome, the title track, just because it was like kind of different from the other ones. It really did what I wanted it to do, in the sense of so like the tracks or the project is called Wholesome, and it's kind of a double entendre, because wholesome in the sense of the word wholesome, like a lot of the songs have to do with family, right, or, you know, where I grew up. So it's like very wholesome subject matter. Yeah. But I also wanted it to be expressed in it's some of the whole of myself, if that makes sense. Like this project isn't like Harrison Sands. Like, this isn't who I am as an artist in totality.
Yeah.
So that song, I feel like, kind of expresses that lyrically.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, you know, this isn't the whole pie. You're getting a piece.
Yeah.
And I think that happens too often, is like someone hears a project from an artist and they're like, oh, okay, that's what that artist does.
Right.
And I think a lot of musicians are just like wanting to make good music.
Right.
You know?
And you couldn't go with the title Pieces of Me because Ashley Simpson already put out that song. So
yeah, and I called her and I was like, hey, Ash, what do you think about this?
Yeah.
And she was like, I really don't think my publicist would like it. And I was like, always politics getting in the way.
That person's still hired? You still have a publicist? Okay, here we go.
You still have that person around? What do they do? What are they doing nowadays?
Good Ashley Simpson burns. Hey.
But yeah, that's probably my favorite. I also did like the production on it, so
cool.
It kind of has like a piece of me. And it's kind of a good transition into the next project that I'm working on.
Okay.
That's gonna be kind of more raw and like guitar based and kind of like moodier.
Cool.
I guess. Yeah.
What do you feel like other people's favorites have been?
A lot of people are liking Distractions.
Cool.
Yeah, that was a really fun track to make. No Suits, I went to college with.
Okay. At Kalu?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wait, isn't
cool
it
guys.
like 4 guys though?
It's 3 now.
Okay.
It was 4. I went to school with 3 of them.
Oh dang.
Yeah.
Same year?
No, they're 2 years younger than me, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, super fun dudes. Really
Were they
nice.
still doing music at Kalu?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. We did this thing called Kalupalooza. It was as bad as it sounds.
Yes.
But it was fun. It was for this class that we all were taking at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And we had to like put on a little festival thing at the end of the class, which was cool.
That's awesome.
But yeah, the song was fun. It just kind of like organically happened.
Yeah.
Like we were just hanging out and they had this track that they were working on and they were like, hey, do you want to like sing on this? And I was like, yeah, sure. So then I started writing and then I really wanted Chris Wright, who does the second verse. Mm-hmm. I met him through...
Which feels very Gym Class Heroes, by the way.
Really?
Yeah. Dope. As soon as I heard it, I was like, this is great.
Yeah, I love Chris's voice and like his cadence is, if you haven't heard his music, it's so good. So good. He actually like just asked me to do a hook.
Cool.
Like this week. So it's fun because I think that song really like kind of shows my love for like collaboration.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, yeah, sure, you can make music by yourself, but like, why not do it with your friends, you know?
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people are kind of liking the different sounds because that song kind of stands alone. Mm-hmm. It has like a very unique sound, I would say.
Yeah. In
comparison to the other songs on the project.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of people like that one and Billy Crystal.
Nice. Yeah, people love freeway references, man.
Yeah, they're like, I know where that is.
Yeah.
That's where I live. And then you're just like, yeah, I guess.
I'm also looking for girls up and down those freeways.
Yeah,
so,
I just patrol. It's mostly homeless people, but sometimes.
Hitchhikers.
Sweet.
I really, really liked The Cape. I think that
Thanks,
hook.
Man.
I think that hook is so strong.
Thanks.
It has one of those like the I've been looking up so long, that line could itself be the chorus, like because you're repeating on my shoulders and then you actually go into the chorus after that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
which is like it's just a really, I mean, it's a good hook flex. It's a double hook shot.
Thanks. It's funny. I was working on that song, and like it's about, it's for me it's about my dad, but it's for heroes in your life kind of deal, people you look up to, and I was working on it, and I had that first hook, and then I showed it to one of my buddies, and he was like, oh, I like this. And then he like came back like an hour later, and he's like, yeah, I mean, I just kind of like came up with this. I don't know if you like it.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. I very much appreciate this.
Wait, who was that other buddy?
He goes by Jeez Louise.
Cool.
He's an anonymous rapper friend of mine.
Nice.
Who doesn't make music. He's just like one of the most incredible lyricists I know.
And he's like, here, you can just take this.
Yeah, he was like, here you go.
That's so fun.
It's just like, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
You have very giving friends, man. These are two stories of people being like, do you want this?
Yeah, that's like the kind of culture musically that I love, because I try and do that as often as possible.
Cool.
Like I try anytime friends of mine, like I had somebody 2 weeks ago, my buddy Tyler, who we've worked on a track together, he hit me up and he was like, hey, do you think you can do like backups and harmonies for this song for me? And I was like, yeah, of course, you got it. I'll have it done today, or like whatever. And then like, it's just like anytime any of my friends reach out that want to work on something or need help with something, I just want to help. Like I love that energy musically, that like, because it doesn't cost anything. It doesn't cost me anything.
Right. Yeah. I mean, so now that you already have the equipment.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Now that I have the microphone and everything. But yeah, I think too often it, like, that kind of relationship gets lost.
Yeah.
Especially now where it's like people, I don't know. The music industry is weird. Yeah. It's a weird place, because you'll find people like that are very like, let's just make good music. Like, let's just do whatever.
Right.
And then you find people that are like, well, I was sitting in that writing room and didn't contribute anything, but I feel like I should get 25% of the writing credit.
Sure.
And you're like, you didn't even open your mouth.
Right. Yeah.
What happened? Like, yeah. I don't know. It's weird.
It's a really, I mean, in general, having community that feels really open and not everyone's operating out of fear all the time is a really big deal. I mean, it kind of goes back to what we were talking about in like pickup sports. Like, you want pickup sports to just be like, we're showing up, we're having a good time, we're seeing what happens, and we're doing our best. And like, if one of us steps on each other's toes, we say sorry, we move forward. But I mean, it's really hard when you come in, like, I've noticed myself, like, when it comes to both like pickup sports and songwriting, sometimes I'll come in with this mindset of like, I need to prove myself, and like, I have very little to offer, and if I'm lucky, I'll probably do this well, but like, and then there are certain times where I don't have that mindset. Like when you and Avid came over to work on that soundtrack together, I was like extremely, extremely nervous. And then
so was I. It's totally fine.
Were you really?
Yeah, dude. Who scores films? Like, I was just like,
not us.
Avid asked me to do that. Like, I mean, what was that? Like 2 years ago?
Yeah.
When we were at Hunter's bachelor party.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey man, I've got this project that I might need your help with. Right. And then like, it finally came to fruition. But yeah, it's like when Avid asked me to do that, I was just like, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but it was really
literally
helpful.
No idea what I was doing.
It was really helpful having you there because we feel comfortable with each other personally. Yeah. It made it not about which of our egos was going to get stroked. It was just like, we just wanted to do the job well.
Yeah, exactly.
And continue to try things. And that's, I just feel like that's just so rare, because you have to come from that space of like feeling really secure in yourself and then be able to like push that security out to the relationships in the room of being like, no,
Yeah.
everyone's okay. We're all just going to try things.
Yeah. And I think that is like the most fun part about making music is like when you're comfortable with everybody in the room and it's not just like, oh, well, I have this idea. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I put like, and people are just like throwing everything out there and just like, this is crazy, but like, I don't know, could work. And then it ends up being like the coolest thing anyone's ever heard. It's like, I don't know. There's just a cool energy about it.
Yeah. What, so you've done collaborations a ton with Abby, the Nomad, and it seems
the
like
Nomad. Yeah, make
the
sure you
Nomad
get that.
professional titles. Like that seems like a great collaboration relationship that you also have. So what's probably the best like collaboration story you have with him of just like an experience where the ideas were gelling well and the song came out and it worked out great?
That's a very unique collaboration relationship just because we were friends before we even started working on music together.
Yeah. Also at college?
Yeah. I was his RA.
Really? Also at Cal Lu. Good grief.
Yeah.
Cal Lu showing up right now.
Cal Lu. It was like a 3-year window. There were just like a bunch of people that like came out and are just like, yeah, I think I want to do music.
Wow. It's very
Cal Lu
fortunate.
probably, yeah. It is very helpful for someone trying to do music, but yeah. Yeah, we were friends. I was his RA and like almost busted him one time. That was like a whole thing. He brings it up at shows. Like he'll be like, yeah, he's my RA. Almost got me kicked out of school. And I'm like, oh my God, everyone here is going to think I'm a narc.
That's awesome. If you're an RA, you have to be a narc. That's part of the job.
Yeah. I tried to be like the RA that was like
the cool RA. I'll give you
cool
5
guy.
strikes.
I don't know, man. Like you're not making a lot of noise and you're not bothering anybody.
Yeah.
I'm not knocking on any doors.
Yeah.
Like it's just like, I don't know. I think a lot of RAs like go out of their way and they're like, I think there's something going on. Yeah. I smell something. Like, they have no idea. They're just like, yeah, I'm going to kick in every door until I find something.
Every gassy Kenny down the hall. Just So you were already friends.
Yeah, so we were friends, and it was I think I had either just graduated or it was like the end of my senior year. I started writing just songs on the guitar for fun, and he was like the person I knew that made music. Mm-hmm. So I was just like, hey man, like I've been writing these songs, like I don't know if they're good. Can you take a listen and like, I don't know, we could just hang out, whatever. So that relationship kind of like sparked me just like making music in general. And then it just has kind of, because we were friends and because we would just hang out anyways, music just kind of became a part of that. So now it's just like making music is just hanging out.
Yeah.
Like I was the best man at his wedding. Yeah. So it's
that's
like,
cool.
Yeah.
So he likes you.
Yeah. So like we kind of like hanging out. I'm going there actually a week from today to like work on some stuff.
Cool.
But I think, I don't know, as far as like a specific collaboration, I think the one that was most important was, I made like this album that doesn't exist on the internet. It might exist on the internet. But it, was like we literally just were in a room, like in his bedroom for like a month. Like I would just go over there after work and we would just like fuck around until something came up.
Yeah.
And I think that was like where we really learned how each other like work musically and like how to communicate musically.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of times that's like the biggest issue is people like when they work together and they aren't already friends or haven't worked together.
Right.
It's like finding that language that you both understand.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Can you give me an example of that? Because I mean, there's a way to do it where both people are so technically proficient that they can be like, I noticed you went from the first to the fifth, and I don't like the way that sounds. Could you move from the first to the third? And both people are like, got it. But then there's also people who aren't. I mean, I am not technically proficient to that extent.
No idea.
So someone's like, so you went like, can you make it like, What language do you guys use?
It's kind of a mix. I think he's probably more technically proficient. I speak enough like musical terms through like choir and stuff like that, but it's usually just like he'll be doing something and he'll be like, hey, do you think you can do this? Like he'll just be like, you want to do a harmony on this? And I'm just like, yeah, got it. Yeah. Or he'll be like, we need to change this line. And I'll be like, well, what if it went like this? And he's like, yeah, cool. I don't know. It's very streamlined now, which is nice.
When things aren't working, do you have nice words for that? Like,
when you're working with someone and you're like, I hate this.
Oh, yeah, or just in general, like when people are like throwing out like lyrics, or they'll be like, what if we said like turkey baster, or like, and you're like, maybe I'm not feeling that maybe here, but maybe later, or like how?
Yeah, it's that part's weird because I feel like you never want to tell someone like, oh, that's a terrible idea,
right?
Unless maybe like it is, if they were like, what if we just farted into the microphone? Yeah. But I also feel like something like like weird stuff like that though, I think a lot of times I'm just like, okay, well, like how can we do that so that it will sound good and be appreciated? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, let's just not do it to be stupid. Yeah. Like if you want to do something stupid, do it with intent. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I feel like it's also, if it's my project, I'm probably going to be a little bit more like, hey, we probably shouldn't do that. Or, hey, I think I was thinking it would be like this, or a little bit different. If it's someone else's project and they're like, hey, can you do a verse on it? And I do my verse and the rest of the song, I'm like, ooh. Yeah. Ugh. Yeah. I'm like, well, at least I hope my verse was good. Yeah. You know? It's like if it's someone else's project, like I'm not going to tell them how to do it.
That makes sense. Would you be down to play a song from this new record?
Sure. Let me go grab my guitar.
Hell yeah.
I haven't really been playing lately, so this could be really bad.
Or really good. We will see.
It could just jump. You know, the podcast, like, hey, you want to do a song? And then it like cuts and you're like, we lost the signal for a little bit there, but let's keep going. Let me grab my guitar.
Yeah, go for it. You can mess up as much as you want.
That's true.
Yeah. And we can also just cut it all at the end. So just the whole song, we can cut it out.
You're just like, it wasn't good. We're just going to continue.
It wasn't good. We moved on.
Yeah, we just started talking about pickup basketball again. All right. This one is called Billy Crystal.
Nice.
Yeah. It's not about Billy Crystal.
Yeah. But it's about you looking for your Sally. You are Billy Crystal in this scenario.
Yeah, I'm Harry.
Yes, looking for Sally. Yeah. No, I got it.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Some people don't, and I'm like,
yeah, those people don't understand.
More movies.
Yeah.
I just watched that movie the other night, actually. It's really good.
I've never seen it.
I hadn't seen it when I wrote this song.
Nice.
And then, but I was like, this will make sense to someone. All right. I'm just going to go, I guess.
Go for it.
Met this girl out on the west side. We were talking, seemed like all night. Wish I had seen her more than one time. I'll always keep her in a good light. I know this girl way out in East LA. You can intelligence and a pretty face. Now she's a fighter, put you in your place. I couldn't leave my heart an hour away. No, I'll run my fingers down her spine. I'll kiss her slow as the motion on the 405. I'll love her till I know she's done, from head to toe, just like the 101. I'm just looking for a lover, one after another. I'm just searching for my Sally at the bottom of the valley. Talked to this girl in the north of the city. Went back and forth until she told me I was pretty. I said the distance, baby, I can't be committed. She said she only wanted one thing, so come and get it. Talked to this girl a little south of downtown. Spent the day and went all the way around. Sweetest kisses with the taste of sugar brown. Played her my song, she said it wasn't quite her sound. No, I'll run my fingers down her spine. And I'll kiss her slow as the motion on a 405. I'll love her till I know she's done, from head to toe, just like the 101. I'm just looking for a lover, one after another. I'm just searching for my Sally at the bottom of the valley. There we go.
So good.
Thanks,
Well
man.
done, man. That was great.
Thanks. I kind of forgot the words in the middle.
No, you got it though.
Yeah, as long as you get there.
Yeah, just one chuckle. It's still basically on time.
Yeah, pretty much.
That
As
felt
long as
great.
it's close.
Do you want to do some rapid fire questions that have no necessary link between them?
Yeah, 1,000%.
Great. Give me a misconception about music artists.
About music artists in general, or about
Music
me as a
artists,
music
about
artist?
you as a, like, when people see you as a music artist, like especially like when you're out on tour, like what are some of the things that people just assume about you?
Oh man. One is that I just want to perform all the time in front of anyone.
Yeah.
Like a Christmas party of somebody I don't know is not the time.
Right.
Another one is that like it's such like an interesting thing that when people meet you and they've heard your music,
Mm-hmm.
they feel like they know you already.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Right.
they're like, whoa, we're friends.
Right.
Because I've heard you talk about things and we've related. And
Yeah.
and for someone that hasn't met you,
Right.
it's like kind of, it's weird. It's I always try to be super nice because like, why wouldn't you be nice? But
Sure. Yeah.
it's hard sometimes because they're like, oh yeah, I like that. And you're just like, whoa. I'm very much an introvert. This has got to chill.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think maybe just introvert versus extrovert is the biggest misconception.
There is an assumption that you're extroverted because you're doing a very extroverted thing.
Yeah. And I think there's also like a big difference between performers and musicians.
What do you mean?
Like I think there are a lot of like people that make like pop music or whatever, like radio music, and have a team of 50 writers that write for them and
Right.
whatever. And like, sure, they can be like trained and be musically inclined, but excuse me, I feel like at that point you're performing. Does that make sense? Like
Yeah,
you're not necessarily like awake at 2 a.m. like with lyrics running through your head.
Right.
You're like running choreo and like
Yeah.
figuring out how to look cool on stage.
Yeah.
Which is,
Do you have any choreo?
No, I am all off the top. I know anybody that's been to a show that I've been at seems like it's very planned out and practiced, but it's just freestyling.
When you were on tour with Abby, did either of you decide like, I'm going to do this move at this point and you're going to do a different move because it doesn't look good when we do it together? Or like, did you guys plan out any dancing?
No, we did plan one thing to do at the same time.
Yeah.
But no.
What was it?
It was on the song Sex and Drugs. And it's like, I need my sex and drugs. I need that money. Like, that's what we did.
Sure.
That was like literally the only planning for the whole tour.
Yeah.
We're just like, what if we both did that at the same time? Cool. Good luck for a month and a half.
I can imagine that conversation going so different. We should do hand motions for sex. What?
Like, I'll do this. And you do
and
this.
you be on the other side of the stage and we'll rush each other. What's some bad advice you've heard across music industry or like that you've received?
Yeah, that's tough. I feel like there's no bad advice necessarily. Yeah, I guess there is bad advice. I was gonna say it's just whether you like take the bad advice or not.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, I think like a lot of people, especially early on, are like making music, and I know I was like this too. It's like you're making music and you're creating and you're hearing other stuff, and you're like, well, I can't release my music until it's perfect.
Yeah.
And I think that's a mindset, and like I've heard like some of my friends even like kind of have that mindset. And I think especially early on, it's like you're learning. You're not going to be freaking Justin Timberlake or like Childish Gambino or something. It's like no one's going to know who you are unless you release music.
Yeah.
And I think that was my problem for a long time, was like looking around at people I knew who were releasing music and thinking like, oh man, that sounds so good. Yeah. And then it's like looking at mine and being like, it's not there yet.
Yeah.
But you just have to like get to a point where you just let go. And I think the bad advice would be like, make sure it's perfect before you release it.
Yeah.
Cause I think a lot of music too is like the imperfection is what people latch onto, if that makes sense.
Sure. What do you do to improve currently in the craft?
Oh man. Just like writing a lot. Yeah. I feel like I'm writing some of the best stuff that I've been writing, which feels good because it's like, okay, thank God we're progressing. Cause there was like a couple months, I mean, actually like right at the beginning of like the quarantine and coronavirus stuff, where I was just like, this is awful. Like everything I wrote, I was like,
no. Well, I felt the same way because it was like my mind was just enveloped in fear like 24/7.
Yeah.
So like anytime I went to write, I was like, there's sirens in the street. I'd be like,
or like if you go on a walk and it's like this street that's usually bustling with people looks like apocalypse. Like, it was weird. It was like a very strange time. Yeah. I mean, for everyone, right. But especially like trying to be creative when you're like, where am I going to get my next roll of toilet paper? Like,
right. Yeah.
Yeah. I think just, it's like anything. You just have to like work at it and practice. And I mean, I sing every day. Yeah. And
do you do like scales or are you just you're singing along with songs you're writing?
I try to like listen to like an hour of music a day. Whether it's like new stuff or whether it's stuff
just like off of a Spotify playlist or.
Yeah, I mean, I just like troll Spotify usually and just look for stuff I haven't heard, or I have some like projects that I just always listen to. Yeah. And just because it's I just think they're really great.
Like what?
I've been listening to a lot of Childish Gambino lately.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to listen to stuff that's not necessarily what I'm making,
mm-hmm.
and like study what they're doing.
Yeah.
So like I'll listen to like rappers and just try and hear like what about this cadence works,
mm-hmm. Yeah.
or what about, you know, the way they're delivering like makes it work, and then just taking that information and kind of like tweaking it to what I'm doing.
Right.
Because I think like there's a lot of overlap in like genres that people don't necessarily like connect.
Yeah.
And it's cool to like hear an instrument in like a funk song and be like, that could sound really dope in like this bluegrass song.
Yeah.
Or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm trying to do usually when I'm like listening. Like I'll just have headphones on, and if something sticks out to me, like make a mental note of it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the things I've noticed with musical motifs in musicals, where I'm
mm-hmm.
like, oh, these are really strong phrases melodically, and that's why they can play it as like they can put that musical phrase into 3 different songs and call them 3 different songs, even though they're like
The same.
Yeah, they're that's the same exact motif, and that's
mm-hmm.
how powerful it is. So those types of things exist, and how can I make something powerful like that?
Yeah.
Like a series of notes that like calls an emotion to you.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I'm good at it. It's just a thing I think about.
Yeah, I think that's always like the goal. Like
Right.
I wouldn't want to be at a level where I'm like, yeah, this is the best I'm gonna be.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
I think
I'm certainly not.
Yeah, I'm 1,000% not there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's just like, I think it just makes sense to constantly be studying and
mm-hmm.
like honing your craft. Because it's
Yeah.
like, if you're a carpenter, it's not like you're gonna build a table one day and be like, yeah, I'm good, that's
Yeah.
it. Like, no, you're gonna try and build a better table.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, not that I'm a
speaking of-
carpenter, but you know.
yeah, I mean, I dabble in
Yeah,
woodworking. So
you do dabble, so that's fair.
Speaking of musicals, did you watch Hamilton on Disney Plus?
Yeah. I've also seen it live.
Was it good? It was good live, I'm assuming.
It was crazy. We did it for our 3rd year anniversary.
Nice.
And
Where'd you see it?
San Francisco.
Ooh, nice.
It was straight magic. Like the first time I listened through the album, I was
mm-hmm.
like, "Oh my god, my life has changed forever." And then I saw it live, and I was like, "My god, my life has changed forever."
So, I haven't seen it live. I really want to. But I thought the way that they like did the cameras on the
mm-hmm.
stage,
Yeah.
like I'm assuming the energy is just like a completely different level seeing it live.
Right. Yeah. Well, they did that one, I think, in 3 passes. They did 2 with an audience, and then a 3rd with no audience and just cameras.
So
and
that they could get
they can get those
shots.
really close shots.
Yeah.
Yeah, which was pretty baller.
Yeah, I thought that was so great. There's this thing on this new show on Netflix I saw called Song Exploder.
Oh, no, I haven't seen it yet.
They have Lin-Manuel Miranda on it.
Nice.
And he like breaks down what song is it? And now I'm spacing on the name of the song and
yeah, I was about to say Javert, and I was like, nope.
I almost said Javert. And I was like,
oh, you mean Javert?
I was like, that's not right.
Burr, Aaron Burr.
Yes. Yeah, it's one of the songs he does, and it's
the Wait for It.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Wait for It.
Yeah.
And the show Song Exploder is like very cool. They get like stems and
that's cool.
Like break the song down with the artist.
Yeah.
And go through like, what were you thinking about when you wrote it and what made you do this? And it's really cool to see other artists process.
I love that song for a ton of reasons. It's incredibly well written.
and that it's just another example of a theme he'll continue to do. Like the wait for it is tied to the dun 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 dun, and they'll call that out in later songs, just like as Aaron Burr is saying something totally unrelated, and it's just like a cool throwback to this philosophical song for him of like, this is kind of my stance on things. And so it's,
but I think that's like the beauty of musicals, is like it's like a story the whole time,
right?
And so like those motifs are so important to like remind the viewer that like things are happening, that like, oh, this is because of this, or he's doing this because remember that song that he sang, or whatever.
It looks like we got to write a musical, man.
Dude, I've been planning it for a long time, but I haven't done it. But I feel like we kind of touched on that though, when we were working on the score. Yeah. Like using certain motifs to like represent certain characters or whatever.
Yeah. I'm a sad mom. I'm a sad mom. I still really like that melody. I still want to use that for something else later.
It was beautiful.
It was really beautiful and sad.
It reminded me of like a combination of the Levian Rose and Up. Yeah.
Yeah, it felt very uppish. In that it was a downer.
Yeah.
Which is,
it was like the old man was like sitting, like sat on his porch.
Yeah.
It was just like,
yeah, that's an incredibly good melody. I want to talk about your parents, just because the album covers your parents so heavily. Because it seems like you have a great relationship with your family, and that's probably why you have an amazing self-esteem without having to like trounce on people, because you just like have a lot of love in your life.
Sorry.
No, go for it. Speak to this.
I mean, I love my family. It's nice having parents that are so supportive, and I think it extends. I mean, my immediate family is the best. Yeah. But I think it extends to the like friend group. I mean, you included. It's like as soon as you surround yourself with people that only want to see you win, it's like you can't lose. If that makes sense.
That was a good phrase right there.
Thanks, man. I'm a philosopher.
I don't know if it's a bumper sticker, but it could be a mug. Cool. I got a couple more questions.
Sweet.
I'd love to hear about any good books that you're doing to get through quarantine, and I'd also want to hear about a story from one of the worst gigs you've ever done.
Oof. Okay. I like these stories. These are my favorite stories.
Worst gig stories are the best.
They're so fun.
They're so relatable.
But I want to hear one from you, though. If
Okay,
I'm
great.
Tell one.
Yeah, sounds great.
So books. I'm reading one. Well, I like started a few during quarantine. There's one called Quantum Zoo that I read like every couple years to make sure like I don't lose my ability to think like scientifically.
Okay.
It's like about it's like a very broken down explanation of like quantum physics, which always was super interesting to me, like growing up and in college and even now. That one's cool. That one's fun to just like kind of pick up and read a couple chapters. I'm reading one. Shoot, this is okay. I have it in the other room. I can go check, but it's cool. It breaks down like famous hip hop stanzas. Cool. As if it were poetry. Yeah. And like it's like a college book.
Because it is.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like I think a lot of times people lose like the true like art of a cadence or like a rhyme pattern. And it's like this is literally what freaking Shakespeare was doing, but just like over a cool drum kit.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's like some of them are just incredible. It's like you listen
Harrison
to...
just referred to iambic pentameter as a cool drum kit.
Yeah, that's exactly... I'm glad you knew the word because I totally was spacing. Like, there are just so many hip-hop artists whose writing could just be like a book.
Yeah.
Like, the whole album could just be like a book. And then the last one I'm reading is called Fred Hampton, or the murder of Fred Hampton, like a job done by the FBI and the Chicago police.
Dang.
And it's like really intense.
That's super
So Fred,
tight.
it's super cool. He was like a civil rights leader in Chicago. He like died at 23, I think.
What's the time frame on this? Like 1960s? Yeah.
Yeah. He was the president of the Black Panthers in Chicago.
Okay.
Like the first president of the chapter.
What was his name again?
Fred Hampton.
Fred Hampton. Okay.
Yeah. It's crazy because the way they describe him, it is like so revolutionary even in today's world.
Mm-hmm.
And like I think that's why he was so feared by like people in power.
Right.
Because he was really he was a really great speaker, really good at rallying people around him for a cause.
Mm-hmm.
Really wanted to see minorities win. He was really involved in like having women in positions of power in like the Black Panthers and like, which for the time, what? Like, that's crazy. Yeah. And I was just watching the trial of the Chicago 7. It's on Netflix.
Oh yeah,
too.
yeah.
And it's like he's in it. Like,
is that
he's
about the same
character.
thing?
It's at the same time.
Okay.
So yeah, it's like his murder is in the movie.
Oh wow.
So it was like weird to recognize names like in the movie that are in the book.
Yeah.
And like see it kind of like played out in real time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's cool. It's like really reveals like some of like the weird shady things that happen.
Can you talk to me about a worst gig?
Worst gig. Oh man. Abby and I played a lot of like just really like terrible gigs where someone's like, yeah, we have this event.
Mm-hmm.
We want to have live music, and then you show up and it's like no one even cares you're there.
Mm-hmm.
Like you set up, you play for an hour or two, and then you like break down and leave, and like you haven't spoken to anyone.
Right.
No one's even like noticed you existed.
Right.
Those are tough, but also like kind of fun because you're just like, yeah, like I'm here. I'm just gonna do what I want. Like at this point, I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of one of those that like really went bad. I mean, one time it was like the first tour that Abby and I went on. This was 2 or 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a West Coast thing. So it was like San Diego, LA, San Francisco, Portland, and Denver, I think.
Okay.
Oh, and Seattle. Because we drove the whole thing and it was like 1,000,000 miles.
Yeah.
But we'd played LA, San Francisco, and like we had zero expectation.
Mm-hmm.
We were just like, these are just gonna, like, we don't know. Because we had never really like been on a tour. We had never performed that wasn't like in college.
Right.
Like you're not sure like anyone's gonna show up.
Right.
But LA and San Francisco go really well, like better than expected. We're really kind of like on this hype, just like, yes.
Yeah.
So excited. And we get to Portland and we're staying with a family friend of mine. And he's asking, like, how's the tour going, whatever. We're like, it's going great. Really excited about the show. Portland. And we go. And it's like a venue that holds like 300 or 400 people.
Mm-hmm.
And there were 6 people there.
No.
6 people showed up. 2 of them were my family friend that we were staying with and his friend.
Yeah.
And then a girl that I knew from home, like was living in Oregon.
Yeah.
So she came. And then there were like 3 other people that we didn't know.
What do you do in that situation? Like, was it a situation where you like owed the venue a bunch of money after that?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think it was one of the it was like pre-planned or contract or whatever.
Sure.
The good thing about just touring with somebody and not being the artist that's spotlighted is it doesn't matter.
Right.
I didn't have anything to do with it.
Yeah.
So, but that was tough because it's just like you just run through your whole set to an empty room essentially.
Right.
And you're just like, whew, okay.
To an empty room, but it's actually 6 people that are paying attention and are like, those are probably more empathetic to you. So you're like feeding off of their feelings of kind of pity.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh no, I don't like feeling pitied while I play.
Yeah. But like, again, like it ended up being like so fun because it got to the point where we were like, we're just going to do like random stuff that we wouldn't do otherwise. Cause I mean, why not?
I mean, that's one of the fun things about, playing to people who have seen you a lot or to a super small audience is like trying to give them something that no one else could get. Mm-hmm. Just because you do have a little wiggle room to make mistakes.
Yeah. I like when you can give someone an experience that like that no one else is going to have, you know?
Yeah.
All right. What about you? You got to tell me one of those.
I mean, and as far as like gigs where no one's listening, like I've had so many of those. I've done like before COVID hit, I think I was like over 700 gigs in the last like 4 years. And, a lot of those were like 2-hour, 3-hour gigs just as background music.
Those are so brutal.
They're very brutal.
Because you're just exhausted at the end.
Yeah. And there were weeks, and I was doing like 3 to 4 of those per week. Mm-hmm. And like there would be spans of time sometimes where like you just you're playing background music to a room who doesn't really care about background music. Mm-hmm. So I would come home and Lane would be like, how was the gig? And I'd be like, it's 3 hours, no claps. And she does this really sweet thing where she'll be like, do you want me to clap for you? And I'll be like, I would actually love if you clapped for me for a bit. And she'll
put your guitar on and you're like,
no, I'll just stand in front of her and she'll go, woo! And she'll just yell and I'll be like, just keep it going, please.
Like, yep. Run it up. I need more. You're like making dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she'll do that for like 30 seconds and then I feel good. I feel totally fine. And I'm like, all right.
Nice. Have you ever been at one of those gigs and you just start saying ridiculous stuff into the microphone to see if like anyone will react?
What I'll do is I'll start playing songs that only I like
Nice.
High School Musical's Breaking Free. And
nice. Do you do both parts?
Yeah, I'll just do it at a lower register. But
okay, nice.
I'll also do like the most lavish, elaborate loops that you could possibly do. So normally, if you're like playing for an audience, you want the loop to be as like efficient as possible. And so you're just doing like one bar and you're repeating that bar and you're like quickly building. If you can do 2 things at once, you do. And when no one's listening, sometimes I'll just go through my little synth and just listen to the sounds and be like, beep, no, maybe not that one. Maybe that one. And I'll just keep doing that literally live. And I'm just like playing with the sounds to see which one I feel like today. Because no one's listening anyway. I might as well just
it's like
yeah,
might as well explore my instruments.
Yeah. I want the song to be as interesting for me, so like let me build this loop in a different way than I have in the past.
You're just like developing this entire soundscape.
Yeah.
no one's you're in your own world. Just like,
yeah,
yes.
exactly. But the worst trying to think about the worst. There's one where I played I feel like I've told you this. I played the waiting room to a spin class.
I don't know if you have told me this.
While the spin class was going. So like in the spin class, it's like the spin class door is open and it's like boom, 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 boom. Take the hill, boom, 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 boom. Don't give up, push. And I'm actually like,
sweat, ladies?
I'm like right outside the door with my amp, and you really can't hear what I'm doing.
You're just standing there.
Yeah. And I'm like playing these like sweet indie covers while there's just like this boom, 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 boom. Yes, that was also bad because a friend of mine came to that, and
oh no,
and he was like, "Oh, are all your gigs kind of like this?" And I was like,
like
literally
none of them.
Literally none of my gigs have been like this, so this is tough. Also, like since COVID, so I've like currently I'm just saying no to all public gigs.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason is I've just had so many people invading my personal space, and during COVID it like touches this actual like fight or flight thing where I'm like, I actually wanted to fight you because you thought it was okay to put your hands on my microphone.
Oh, what? That's not even okay in regular times.
So I know it's not okay in regular times, but I've like actually had a person like, he asked me, "Can I use your microphone?" And I was like, "No, I feel uncomfortable with that." And he looked at me like I was like the biggest weenie in the whole world, and I was like, "Sir, I do not need to feel like a weenie for this." Like I don't know. Like, I've had this is again during COVID, a guy, I like created a barrier for myself so that people would kind of see this is my boundary. A guy leaned in, got super close to my face while I was like getting stuff ready, and he was like, "Hey, where'd you get your shoes?" No mask, just like right in my face. A very nice thing to ask. He liked my shoes. Where did you get your shoes?
You can ask that from wherever.
You can ask that anywhere you want. And so after this, I was like, I could continue to like earn a couple extra $100 every once in a while from these public gigs, or I could say no to all public gigs and only do the gigs where people treat me as a person.
Yeah.
Where they're just like, you're a person, so I assume you need personal space. So I'm not going to get in your personal space.
Yeah.
And it's this, when we're talking about misconceptions, one of them is like, as a musician, you have no regard for personal space.
Yeah. You're just there to entertain me.
Yeah. Very similar to a boombox. I can touch every part of you.
I'm going to check out the disc player. Oh, wow.
So there have been quite a few worst gigs in COVID, which is why I like shut it all down. Like, no mas.
Yeah, that's like, I think the hardest part of playing those gigs in general is after you have a couple bad ones, you're like, wow, is my self-worth really at this level to where I will put myself through this for $200?
Yeah, there is a point
sometimes
where you
it
do.
is.
Yeah, sometimes totally. Everyone has a price. I totally have a price, and sometimes it's worth it. But yeah, it's one of those things where you can only blame the situation so much until you realize you're the one putting yourself in the situation, and maybe this isn't the situation I need to be in if it feels so toxic to me. Yeah, so that's just me learning boundaries in the midst of COVID. I've done this hand gesture way too much. Like, sir,
whoa.
Sir, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. 6 feet.
Thank you.
6 feet. I love that. 6 feet. Yep.
Oh man, those are those are all the questions I had for you. But do you have any other things that you wanted to chat about regarding album, regarding COVID?
I don't know how you feel, but like sometimes being inspired is really tough during these COVID days.
Yeah, I agree that it's really weird. Writing songs is strange. I mean, already writing songs with another musician is like a very vulnerable act.
Mm-hmm.
And then to do it with this extra level of vulnerability of like, I hope that you have been taking COVID seriously. So that we can sing in the same location without feeling threatened.
Mm-hmm.
And which is just like, it's just a lot of extra work.
Mm-hmm. Because like, I think that's something that a lot of people don't understand is like, regardless of, whether COVID affects you, like puts you in the hospital, or it's just like a flu.
Mm-hmm.
Like for a singer,
Yeah.
like just getting sick in general is the worst.
Right.
Like I don't want that anyways.
Right.
So like even if it's, not going to affect me potentially like it would affect, an 85-year-old or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I don't want that.
Yeah, it could put you out of work for a bit. Which
exactly.
It's already hard enough to have work at the moment.
Exactly. And because we don't know long-term effects or whatever, it's like if it had an effect on my lungs in 15 years,
mm-hmm.
and then they were like, sorry, this is going to be your lung capacity forever now.
Right.
And I just couldn't sing anymore. That'd be devastating.
I mean, yeah, chances are you'd still be able to sing, but maybe not to the effect that you would be able to without it, which that level of uncertainty is, it's something I'm keeping in mind a ton, because we still have to live our lives and we still have to be able to collaborate.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's just so much extra discernment having to go down for like every person we interact with, which again is why it's cool that you have people like Abby, people who you like greatly trust already, and you're like, all right, cool. My collaborators are like close homies who I love, and I can like have a hard conversation with them if I need to.
Yeah, I mean, I think the internet too has really helped.
Are you doing songwriting sessions like over the internet?
I'm doing a lot of like work with people, just like sending files back and forth.
Cool.
Not necessarily like Zoom songwriting or whatever.
Yeah.
That seems really hard. Have you done that yet?
No.
It seems impossible.
Yeah, it's not the greatest. I've also been sending files back and forth, but it's just so much slower.
It's so much slower.
Yeah,
that's the only reason
being
I'm
in person.
Yeah, like I'm like trying to wrap up I've been like just trying to get as much stockpiled during like the next few months, especially with like the holidays, because as soon as that happens, it's like don't release music because it's just Christmas music anyways. So I'm trying to get like as many projects like stockpiled before then. So that's the only reason I'm going to Austin, because it's like in person it'll be done in 2 days instead of 2 weeks. So
yeah, I feel that, especially with harmonies. There's it's been so hard figuring out harmonies.
Yeah,
but we're doing it.
We're doing it.
Dope, dude. Well, thanks so much for chatting.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
Do you wanna plug your own album? Should I plug your album? Hey, everybody, listen to Harrison Sands. Harrison Sands, MrHarrisonSands.com.
Mr. Harrison
New
Sands.
album, Wholesome EP. Top songs include The Cape, Distractions, Billy Crystal. His favorite songs include Wholesome. May not be your favorite. Disclaimer. There we go.
I like your radio pitch voice.
Hey everybody.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, everybody. Appreciate you coming out tonight.
This song goes out to a sexy little mama named Vanessa.
Named Sally on the 405.
Hey-o. Like, then it just drops into some, like, 90s R&B.